Thanks for joining me in the kitchen today. It's been 14 days since I've salted the pork hindquarter. It's been curing in the salt. So for the last 14 days, what I've been doing is taking it out of the bag. I've been adding more salt where needed, draining the fluid from inside the tub, so all the the liquid that's been drawn out of the pork leg, I've been draining that off, resalting, putting back into the bag every second day, and just keeping it in that cool area. So now it's time to, the curing, or the salt curing is done. It's time to rinse the salt off the prosciutto. I'm going to do that just over in a clean kitchen sink. I'll get all of the salt off, just washing it through with water. And then what we're going to do is we're going to give it a little bit of a drying and then a vinegar bath. So this is day 2 of making prosciutto at home. All of the salt's been rinsed off the prosciutto with really nice cold water. I'm going to pat dry the prosciutto with a paper towel first. The next thing I want to do is inhibit any bacterial growth. So I'm going to now wash the prosciutto in pure vinegar. So I'll put it into a clean tub. And I'm going to generously pour the vinegar over the prosciutto, making sure I get some right into the hock area. There's probably half a bottle of vinegar. I know some friends of mine, they use red wine to wash prosciutto in. I've always done it with vinegar. I found it works really well, and it's a great inhibitor to keep any bacteria growth off of your prosciutto in the early stages. And then I'm going to just wash that vinegar in, make sure that we've gotten it into all the areas. And pay a lot of attention that the hock gets water or vinegar down. Okay, now that that's done, I'm going to take the pork leg and I'm going to give it a very, very thorough drying with paper towels. I want to get into all the crevices, make sure that I'm drying it as best as possible. The pork leg is all dried off now, so all that excess vinegar is dried out. It's ready to go into the hanging chamber to chill down and to start losing some of its moisture. So you can do one of two things now. You could tie the hock with a string. I've got the hock fairly, it's cut quite short in, so I'm going to be using a meat hook instead. And I'm going to put the meat hook in between. There's 2 bone portions that you see. I'm going to go in the in-between portion here, and the ligament is going to keep the hook in and keep it from sliding out. There we go, a little bit of effort, but it's all the way through now. That's going to be ready for hanging, but before I hang it, in the next phase, the prosciutto is going to start to dry out. It's going to lose a bunch of its moisture, which means it's also going to lose weight. So what I want to do for this next stage of drying the pork leg and turning it into prosciutto is I want it to lose about 20% of the weight that it is currently right now. So I'm going to weigh it, and I'm going to record the weight right now of what it is before I put it in the chamber. I know that my hook weighs 5 ounces, so I'm going to eliminate that part from the weight. And for doing that, I just use a digital fish scale. We have 20 pounds and 9 ounces. So I'll take that 20 pounds, 9 ounces, and I'll minus 5 ounces for a hook. And I'm going to start to check it periodically, maybe every week or two. And I'll keep monitoring the progress until I've seen 20% of that weight come off. I'll be keeping my cold cellar where I hang it anywhere between 0 and 5 degrees Celsius. So for the next few months, while it's dropping 20% of its weight, that's the temperature I'm going to be keeping it at. When we get to part 3 of prosciutto making, what we're going to do then at that point is this will have dried and will have shrunk considerably. The skin and also the exposed meat area will have also firmed up quite a bit and dried a lot out. We're going to then coat it with a layer of lard. It's called larding or stuccoing on the outside, and then that's going to let the last stage of the drying process, where we're going to try to get to about 30% or 35 to 40% of the moisture and weight being lost from prosciutto. Well, thanks for joining me in the kitchen today. This wraps up part 2 of making prosciutto at home. All that's left for me now is to carry this down into the cellar, hang it up, and let it sit and check it periodically to check the weight loss. I'll see you again in a couple of 3 months, whenever it is that we've lost 20% of the weight of the pork leg as it dries itself out and turns itself closer to being the finished prosciutto product. Thanks very much and have a wonderful day.